Hello. You are just joining us. We are playing Radical Dreamers. Radical Dreamers is the text adventure, Japanese only sequel to Chrono Trigger. As you can see, I'm giving you guys time to read. This is the intro. It's very similar to the Chrono Cross intro. You got some really nice music going on. I'm gonna let you guys read it while I share it with the internet. So the game's kind of sad. It's also the beginning of October. So let's make sure people know this. Playing the Japanese only sequel to Chrono. Marathon it all night! Exclamation mark. Let's cut some of this description out. Alright. Guess I gotta cut out a little more. So a lot of the music in here is very, very early iterations of the music from... You doing game? Get to the intro. Take a snapshot so that I can share it to Instagram. We'll let the intro play a little more. Let's collect a few viewers, if you know what I mean. Let's do this. Playing the Japanese only sequel to Chrono Trigger on hashtag Chrono Trigger on hashtag YouTube Gaming. It's like, gonna try and go all night! Exclamation mark. Let's take my Instagram story, shall we? There we go. Alright, let's bring up my stream here. People will join us naturally as they're ready, or they might not. We're doing this for me tonight. I got some Mountain Dew Kickstart. Let's go. Radical Dreamers, Le Trésor Interdit. Which, I don't know actually what that means. Le slow is le pieux. So, le fast. This is French, apparently. Boy, did her information help. I thought the perimeter's counterspell would be quite the problem. Kid's braid sways gently from side to side in the cool nighttime breeze. So far, we've managed to slip through the magical shield network undetected and sneak into Link's domain. Still, this inner region can make for some pretty rough travel. Kid, Magil, and I comprise this party of 3. Excuse me. It's been something like 3 years since Kid and I met. Back then I was a drifter, wandering wherever my music led me. During my... Oh, excuse me, I'm burping. During my stay in the remote town of Regiora, I ended up running into a girl who later joined me, leading to the beginning of all this. That girl was Kid. Kid is a thief, of course. Not even 17 years old already, she's widely renowned as a top professional. To make matters worse, she's cute, devilishly stylish, and has a sparkling personality. And boy, can she cook. If you ask her, that is. Well, to be completely honest, she has her share of problems as well. She likes to think of herself as a kind of Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. But that's just not the case. At times her sharp tongue can get the best of her, viciously lashing out at anyone who stands in her way. She exaggerates every other word and sometimes lies outright, and as for listening to other people, forget it. When it comes to money, well, I've never met anyone greedier in my life. Her relentless pursuit of wealth is ironic, considering she's a nomad like me. I don't know, maybe I'm being too hard on her. She has her good points, too. She can really shine sometimes, when she wants to. Glancing back over my shoulder, I notice a silhouette silently emerge from the grove. Magil. The associate of Kids is known to us only as Magil of the Shadows. I know next to nothing about him, except for the fact that he somehow knew Kid before I came into the picture. A high-class magician of some sort, he looks to be about 30. He usually keeps to himself, though. The top half of his face is covered with a mask at all times. I've never even seen what he really looks like. At times, it seems as though I'm hanging around someone from another world, traveling with this pack of... is definitely an interesting experience. Kid's quiet about her past too, but it's like I know her entire life story compared to how little I know about Magil. From time to time, I find myself wondering who he is, where he came from, and so on. I'd ask Kid, but I get the impression she knows as little about him as I do. You might be wondering, how did I end up where I am now? Well, there's a lot of reasons, I suppose. I guess you could say that life doesn't always go how you plan. Suddenly, Kid comes to an abrupt stop. Seems someone wants to say hello. She's British, now, I decided. Out of a nearby thicket, 2 shimmering eyes catch my attention. Whatever it is, it's staring at me silently. After a few moments, a few more pairs of eyes appear. They seem to be surveying the area. A deep, feline growl breaks the uncomfortable silence, and I realize we're being hunted by a pack of feral cats. A few of the figures slowly approach from behind the trees. I look behind me, only to see that they've already encircled us. A few more slowly creep in, now totaling about 10. Chills run down my spine. In a daze, I clumsily unsheath my knife, grasping it as tightly as I bite my lip. Kid stands there with an air of composure. Careful, mate. These buggers are really probably rabid. It's a horrible accent. Horrible. The growling increases now as a constant rumble all around us. Their yellow eyes shimmer like jack-o'-lanterns, while saliva drips from their snarling jaws. The middle one's stomach gurgles as its eyes widen, fixed directly on me. Looks like we ain't getting out of this one without a fight. I might not do the voice. What will we do? No one's watching to tell me what to do. We will defend. Hey, get in here and fight, Serge. I turn around to see Kid driving her fist into a cat's head, narrowly escaping its jaws. Ha! The strike didn't connect perfectly, but still, the beast is dazed. Serge, behind you! I turn around to see that I am now face to face with a pair of those ravenous yellow eyes. There's no time! I duck as the cat lunges and snaps at me. I smell the bloody odor of the cat's breath as it passes overhead. Just as I think it's past me, I feel its back claws dig into my back. Scrambling out of the way, I manage to shove my knife upwards, planting it deep within the animal's belly. The sound of death can be heard as the cat falls to the ground before me, barely moving. Almost delirious, I lose balance and fall to my knees. Rolling over, I manage to shake off the confusion before any of the other cats can get any closer to me. I take a deep breath and try to tighten my grip on my knife, now slippery with sweat. Then, out of nowhere, Kid flashes across my field of vision, landing a direct hit onto the cat beside me. The cat screeches in pain as Kid pins it to the ground, stomping and kicking it with all her rage. Without a moment's delay, she boots the animal up underneath its jaw. It moves no more. All of a sudden, the crazed atmosphere gives way to a war cry behind me. I whip around to see Magil's Inferno spell setting a cat's head ablaze. It jumps up, screeching and howling in madness before running away wildly. In confusion, it runs directly into a tree and knocks itself out cold. I look around and see that only one of the pack hasn't been taken care of yet. As Kid and I start to close in on the beast, it bolts, fearing for its life. "Well, that was some workout, eh, mate?" says Kid, coming towards me as she tends to her arm. I take a deep breath as I look around, trying not to step on too many of the bodies. I'll admit it was a little worried back there at times, but nothing too serious happened. I try talking to Magil despite knowing how he'll react. "You alright?" With an expressionless face, he looks down at me blankly. "You need not worry about me." Wow, the affection is just overflowing from that guy. However, I probably shouldn't start complaining now. We've still got a long way to go. We haven't even set foot inside Viper Manor yet. Kid glances over at me, seeming eager as ever, ready to tackle what's next. "You gonna hang around all night or what, mate?" "No way, let's go. Hey, come here." Trying to ignore my aches and pains, I head over towards Kid. "Good job back there, mate." She comes closer. I can see the reflection of the moon in her eyes. She gives me a warm, comforting smile. "But come on, we can't just stand around all night. There's treasure waiting to be found." I'm still lost in her eyes as she starts to set off. Magil continues behind her, without a hitch. I hurry to catch up behind the two. In a place like this, getting separated would be a bad idea. We continue to make our way through this natural labyrinth of wood and rock. Somewhere, quietly waiting within this huge forest, Viper Manor beckons us. Deep within lies the treasure we've come for. Lord Lynx, as he's formally known, is an aristocrat who governs the Regiona Outlands. From the way Kid talks, he's apparently an old adversary of hers. Tonight, our goal is Lord Lynx's most prized possession, a scarlet jewel known as the Frozen Flame. Besides being priceless, some say that this beautiful stone harbors some sort of mystical power. They say many people have sought after the flame, but none have been victorious in stealing it. Viper Manor has claimed many lives. But we will succeed. We pride ourselves in making the impossible possible. Besides, the way Kid talks about Lynx sometimes, it sounds like she's got an awfully personal vendetta against him. We can't lose. We've come too far to lose. And so, after having spent countless hours crossing this dreary, lonesome forest, the silhouette of a towering mansion finally comes into view through the trees. "We made it!" Kid shouts. "Your days are numbered, Lynx." We quickly make our move, quietly dashing out from behind a thicket. Once at the mansion wall, we creep stealthily along the perimeter, searching for an entry point. Excuse me. After a short while, we come upon a terrace near a garden, which looks relatively inviting. It doesn't look like there are any guards on patrol. Still, mansion gives off a strange, sort of morbid feeling. It's as quiet as death. Maggle gazes up at the towering fortress. We can enter into the west wing from here. There's no need to look elsewhere. Okay, let's go, Kid says, jumping over the terrace handrail. Halt! Shouts Maggle from behind, staring at Kid. Our goal is the frozen flame, not vengeance on lordlings. Remember this, Kid. Aye, no prob, she says, glancing over her shoulder. Ain't gonna be nothing to it. Like taking candy from a baby. We'll be out of here before that slimy rat knows what's hit him, yeah? You low-down, good-for-nothing bastard, I'll make you pay. Then she goes again. Come on, I'm getting tired of waiting around, she yells, before bolting into the mansion. Maggle shakes his head in silence as I chase after Kid, already deep inside. The darkness engulfs me. Passages extend to the left, right, wherever we turn. Darkness awaits. Left or right? I'll give you guys a couple seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try the right passage. As though we're inside a gigantic snake, the passageway twists and turns, stretching deeper and deeper into the mansion. We now stand in almost complete and utter darkness. Just a trace of moonlight manages to illuminate the path. I stop for a moment and realize it's now completely silent. I feel as though we're being watched silently by every single being in this dreadful house. Taking a deep breath, I move on. And I set my foot down slyly. With the stealth of a cat, yet so valiantly composed, Kid follows behind in stride. Drifting in and out of the shadows, the macabre figure of Maggle looks out from behind. The Weaver of Fate has surely by now taken notice of us, cradling us carefully in her arms. Hello, Pablo. We're doing something different tonight. Playing the text adventure sequel to Chrono Trigger. I'm going to try doing a dramatic reading. It's probably not as interesting as Dark Souls, but we're going to try and play the whole thing in one go. That's why I started kind of early. I also am opening my second Mountain Dew Kickstart. They're not sponsoring me or anything. I just needed enough caffeine to get through this. Moving on. Just ahead of me, I bump into Kid, who's come to a complete stop. Something's wrong, mate. I stop my breath, trying to listen for anything. Then out of the darkness, clunk, clunk, clunk. Something's ahead of us on our path. Whatever it is, it's coming for us. I nervously unsheathe my knife, trying to ignore my anxiety for this inevitable confrontation, now only moments away. It's a skeleton! Spooky, scary skeletons. Quick, what will we do? What do we do? What do we do, Pablo? Alright, he's like 10 or so seconds behind, so... Oh! I took too long. Maggle suddenly stops. Maggle, snap out of it, I shout, but his eyes are totally glazed over, completely unaware of his situation. What am I going to do? I'm going to attack. I bolt towards the gruesome creature, avoiding a deadly slash by its rusty sword. I aim a kick for the skeleton's midsection. And with that, the skeleton breaks in two, toppling down to the ground as I carefully back away. As the skull hits the ground, it shatters into countless pieces. What was up with you back there? Kid shouts at Maggle, her eyes firmly planted on him. Snap out of it already! Maggle blinks a few times, dazed. He seems to be alright now. Whew! You okay, mate? Yeah, I'm not bad. I've got some bruises here and there, but nothing too serious. You? Oh, are you kidding? Our kicker things are so bad I ain't even have time to say its prayers. Yeah, we did pretty good back there, didn't we? You got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there, mate. Kid's mischievous eyes sparkle as I glance at her for a moment in the dim moonlight. I set off down the corridor with her, ready for what's next. Yeah. So you're gonna get the same variation of the same scene after every, like, monster fight. And basically that's a reminder of how, of the affection level with Kid. And that affects the slight variations in the ending you get. Well, I'm glad you're in the mood for a story, Pablo. I'll try and keep reading through the whole thing. Hopefully I won't strain my voice too bad. I may or may not end up taking a break to, like, make green tea with lemon or something later, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. We make our way down the dimly lit passageway. After a few moments, we come to an old, dusty door on the right. Kid quietly presses her ear against the door. Quiet as a church mouse, no one's there, mate. Well, we decide to open the door. What's with all this junk? Must be a storeroom or something. I think that was Kid. It may or may not have been me. It seems like this is the inner mechanics of a clock tower. However, the gears look old and rusted, and cogs are spinning randomly without connecting up with their proper teeth. Ooh, excuse me. I doubt the clock's still in use today. The room seems to be currently used as a storage area. A large object catches my attention off in a far corner of the room. It's too dark over there to see what it is, though. Do not touch anything out of the ordinary, Magill says abruptly, sending a sudden shock down my spine. However, just as he said this, I see Kid emerge from the shadows, dragging the large object out into the middle of the room. It's a large, antique sword of some kind. We've got no use for this thing, Kid. All it'll do is slow us down. Besides, we probably wouldn't even get much money for it. Humph! I reckon it's worth a lot to the right buyer, like an antique collector or somebody. Sulking, Kid quietly lays the sword down. What do you want? I look around, startled. That was definitely not any of our voices. Kid and Magill immediately take position, focusing their attention towards the source of the voice. Who's there? A figure suddenly appears out of the darkness. It seems to be a short old woman with a large hood over her head. Although fully covered, it's obvious she's quite old. Oh, it's just some old hag, Kid says. Magill's sharp gaze on the woman remains unchanged, however. What an energetic young lady. You haven't come here this late in the evening to drop in on some friends, I'd imagine. I glance at Kid. Perhaps you've come to settle with Master Lynx? My heart jumps. This is definitely not good. Will she warn the rest of them about us? I tell the truth. Kid's eyes narrow. If we did have a score to settle with that bastard, what's it to you? Heh, just as I expected. The old woman cackles in amusement. Children, they're always so interesting like that. So imaginative. Yet so predictable. Question mark? What are you talking about, old lady? Some really nice music. Oh, it's already been 4 or 5 years, I would gather, according to what I was told. One night a young thief came to the manor looking for trouble. The thief was a little girl about 10 years old. Surprised, I glance at Kid. There's a trace of an ice-like radiance in her eyes. Staring at her makes me feel like it's suddenly dropped below freezing in here. Unfazed, the old woman continues her story. The girl was an orphan, set off to face Master Lynx, all alone, hoping to avenge the girl who had cared for her like a big sister. But after all, she was all alone. Outnumbered and overpowered, she was eventually defeated and captured by Master Lynx's henchmen. As an ally, Master Lynx can be quite an asset. However, as an enemy, he can be one of the most fearsome men alive. If not for a friend who sneaked in and secretly rescued her, she surely would have perished. From what I've heard, this mysterious figure who could allegedly slip in and out of the shadows was the subject of many whispers throughout the manor, long after this incident had come to pass. Not moving a muscle, I try to look for Magil. He's nowhere to be seen. I can only guess he's sporting one of those trademark expressionless faces. Somewhere off in the darkness. The inhabitants of Viper Manor don't condemn the unfortunate, because no one can win all the time. However, from time to time, the goddess of fate has been known to cast down those who have too much good luck, throwing the cogs of time out of order. It's not wise to try and stand against fate, continuing to repeat one's mistakes time and time again. The old woman continues, staring straight at Kid, smiling sweetly. If you want to steal the jewel and you really want to beat him, you too must give up your most valued possession, Kid. As long as you cling to it, the hands of your clock will never budge. They'll stay frozen, trapped in the distant past. Who the bloody hell is this old hag? Me? Oh, just an old lady. Pay me no mind, thank you. For listening to this old maid for such a long time. I certainly hope I haven't delayed you at all. But before you leave, which one of you... With that, the old woman looks in my direction. Ah, yes. You look like you've got a bit of scrape there. Won't you let me have a look at it? What should I do? I don't know whether to be petrified or comforted by all this. No thanks, it's okay. The old woman narrows her wrinkly eyes, barely visible from under the hood. Is that so? Well, so be it. I won't keep you any longer, however. It's not a wise idea to pass up generosity, especially in such a place like this. And as I'm sure you know by now, the only one who can help Kid and the Shadow Walker is you, Serge. With that, the woman vanishes. What was up with her? Kid asks, puzzled. We must not linger. Let us go elsewhere. Maggle heads toward the door, as though nothing has happened. Yeah, let's get our asses out of here. From here, it's just as right. The right path continues, while the left takes us back to the... So, proceed to the right. Proceeding ahead on the path, we come to a staircase going up and... a firm-looking set of doors on the left. There better be treasure here. The smell of gold's thick in the air, mate. Well, let's go inside. Humph! Just like I thought. Locked. Kid says after jiggling the handle. Frustrated, she kicks the door. This might slow us down, but sure as bloody hell won't keep us out. Well, unless we find the key, there's nothing we can do, Kid. Let's get to it, then. I bet Link's got it stashed up in his room somewhere, the bastard. Unable to do anything, we leave to look elsewhere. Let's go to the stairs. With Kid in the lead, we ascend the narrow staircase. The cracked stone stairs seem to endlessly twist upwards. It feels like we're heading up to a scaffold to be executed. Atop the staircase, an old but solid door waits for us silently. This damp place fills me with a feeling of dread. There's a faint voice coming from the other side of the door, says Kid. I fear the worst. Maybe we should check somewhere else, I say. What's the matter, you chicken? She says while glancing at me, but I can tell by the sound of her voice that she isn't feeling much better about this than am I. There's something wrong about this place, and we all know it. Push forward. It's a small room, one you'd find in a stone tower. It's empty, and I can't find a single window in it. What the hell kind of room is this? Although she's trying to hide it, I notice a shiver running down Kid's spine. There may be something of use here. Let us search more closely, Maggle says quietly. You really think we'll find something? Humph. Kid proceeds to the middle of the room while I examine the walls and floor. The stone floor is filled with countless scratches, covered by splotches of dry, dark ink. Hey, Maggle, would you come over here, please? Something is carved into the wall here. I think it's an inscription of some sort. Maggle kneels down in front of the wall and examines the writing. Looking closer at it, it appears to be written in blood. Indeed, this text has been worn down with age. Most of it's unreadable. Here's what I can make out. Won't la ma onger see a dragon's enchant sore order to proof. Without any warning, the door slams shut. We stand up, taken by surprise. Then suddenly a low rumbling starts to fill the room. "What's happening?" Kid shouts, looking around frantically. "What's that above us?" "Oh shit!" "What now? There's no time to lose." Try to stop the ceiling, break through the wall, try to ram the door. Kid flies like an arrow, ramming against the door. Her small body bounces back. The door is far too heavy. Bollocks! Maggle streaks across the room like a hurricane, dashing against the solid oak. The door cracks but holds tight. My turn. I ram into the door with all my strength. Ah! A heavy shock shoots through my body, but the door doesn't budge an inch. The rumbling continues to get louder and louder, reminding us of the rusty blades. "Surge! Maggle! Come on! Together!" The three of us start to ram against the door simultaneously with all our strength. The door hinge gives and we stumble outside, barely escaping certain death. Behind us, we hear the gut-wrenching sounds of the blades meeting the stone floor. I watch the morbid scene in a daze, gasping huge breaths of air. I'm gonna scoop myself a little closer here. I want to make sure everyone can hear me. Finally, the grinding sounds fade away. Seems the stealing has stopped. The stealing? The ceiling has stopped. I'm gonna move my microphone just a little closer here. And you're gonna hear more of my button clicking. I think this is a good spot for it. Damn that Link's toying with us like that. So this is the torture chamber. I wonder how many of the Axia Dragoons it has claimed. Who? I ask. The Acacia Dragoons. They were once an elite force of serving General Viper, a powerful man who used to rule the western territory of Gersbule. Excuse me. Ooh. They were defeated more than 10 years ago by the very hands of Lord Lynx. But by the looks of things, we have apparently found their resting place. Who cares, says Kid as she stands up. Generals and knights and everything. It sounds like some old bedtime story. Maggle shrugs his shoulders in silence as we start down the stairs, eager to get away from this awful place. With Kid leading the way, we descend the stairs. Okay. Alright, let's go back to the terrace. Come to the door on the left. We know what's in there, so I'm going to proceed to the terrace. The cool evening air trickles in through the doorway, giving me a subtle reassurance. I'm going to proceed on through the hallway. After a while, the path splits into 3 directions. To the left is a descending staircase, while the path on the right extends into darkness. Another passageway lies ahead. Excuse me. We're going to turn ahead and head down the right path. Oh, excuse me. Ahead of me, I hear Kid come to a sudden stop. What's wrong? I ask in a whisper. I look over only to see Kid pointing down the dark hallway. Squinting my eyes, I try to look for something. After a while, I start to see some sort of white mass a ways ahead of us. What is it? I ask, readying my knife. And then, as if reacting to my voice, it starts to quickly scurry towards us, growing taller and taller as it approaches. It's a skeleton! I'm gonna fall back. I take 2 or 3 meager steps back, hoping there aren't any walls behind me. Seeing an opportunity, the skeleton deftly raises its sword overhead. The tip of its sword grazes my cheek as it brings its rusty blade down, sending me back even further. All of a sudden, Kid comes out from behind, landing a roundhouse directly into its midsection. Thanks, Kid! I shout as the skeleton topples over. Ribs fly everywhere as its spine breaks in 2. I think you've had enough, Kid shout, looking over the crumpled heap of bones. Suddenly, as if somehow reacting to our taunts, the skeleton's remains begin to stir once again. I back away in shock as the skeleton's torso starts to prop itself up with its left hand. Its right hand then grasps its dislodged skull and holds it up, staring straight at us. What the? Suddenly, the skeleton hurls its skull at me with blinding speed. What do I do? Dodge. I do my best to dodge the incredibly fast-moving skull. Ha! I managed to dodge the skull. However, looking behind me, I see that it struck Kid instead. Bollocks, she shouts, slapping me in the face. Mago quickly slides over to the skull, smashing it under his feet. As soon as this happened, the skeleton falls to the ground. Now nothing more than a lifeless heap of bones. Alright, let's go, says Kid, after vengefully scattering the remaining bones everywhere. Whew, you okay, mate? Yeah, I'm not bad. Bruises here and there, nothing too serious. You got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there. Kid's mischievous eyes sparkle. Ready for what's next. We head down the path. After a while, it ends at a stained wooden door. I go in. Guess this is the study. This huge room is faintly lit by the moonlight, shining in through a tall window. In the back of the room stands a large, ornately decorated desk. Row after row of bookshelves house thousands of thick, dusty books. A painting is hung on the rear wall, sharing space with various exotic curios. I walk over and examine the painting, illuminated by the pale moonlight. It's a watercolor painting depicting a particular scenario. Within the painting, it appears to be day and night, as well as spring, summer, autumn, and winter, all at the same time. Everything looks melted away, fading into everything else. At the core of this swirling, chaotic maelstrom, there's a small black gem, burning with a deep red flame inside of it. What is it, mate? Find something valuable? Kid comes over to my side and reaches out for a fancy plate. The ransom for just one of these could feed a family for an entire year, I bet. Suddenly she stops, looking over towards me. Come on, there's no wrong in taking it. Let's focus on the flame, Kid. After a moment, she hesitantly puts the decorated plate back on the shelf. Suddenly, we start to hear footsteps coming this way, though they aren't that loud. They boom like thunder in the night. Kid and I jump up, Maggle swiftly concealing himself in the nearby shadows. Quick, behind the door! Kid and I quickly hide behind the door with our backs pressed against the wall. I hold my breath as the door creaks open. A quivering candlelight spreads in through the doorway. However, whoever opened the door doesn't seem to have any intention of entering the room. Humph. Thought I heard something. No reason for anybody to be in here, though, since the master is away. Still, with those poor southerners on the move, it's better safe than sorry. The door closes swiftly, blanketing the room in darkness once again. The voice becomes more and more distant as the footsteps fade into silence. Still, we wait without moving a muscle. So Por is up to something, Maggle mutters, emerging from the shadows. Por is a large country governing the southern continent. Here it's a pretty well-developed and fairly prosperous place. What would they be after in this Outlands? Surely not the frozen flame. No matter how valuable it might be, in the end it's just a jewel, a piece of rock. How valuable could it really be? We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passageway. Finally, the passage comes to a three-way branch. There's a descending staircase in front of us. There's passages on the right and the left. The one on the left will take us back towards the terrace. So we'll enter the right passageway. We continue through the passageway. After a while, we arrive at a beautifully decorated set of double doors. I enter. There seems to be Viper Manor's ballroom. Beautifully decorative ornaments rest on a large table in the center of this huge hall. Rows of huge pillars are lined up on both sides, adorned with sculptures of birds and various other animals. At the far end of the room sits a gigantic organ, taking up the entirety of the wall. Its pitch-black aura beckons us. Countless number of candles provide a soft, flickering luminescence to the room. Everything around us shimmers in the dim candlelight. Various portraits have been hung high up on the walls, depicting all sorts of well-dressed people. From what I can gather, they're high-quality oil paintings. They all have a similar sort of morbid gaze in their eyes, though. Who could these be? Lynx's relatives, maybe? Of these, a portrait of a young lady in a pink dress catches my eye. Wait, what was that? I swear she looked at me just then. Come on, Serge. Time to put away the ghost stories. It's just my imagination acting up again, I tell myself. It was probably a trick of light caused by a flickering candle or something. The oil's glossy finish distorted the image for a second or two. Yeah, that's what happened, but I don't know. This room's bloody strange. Kid sees it too. She has to have seen it. Suggest we look elsewhere, Maggle says suddenly. Kid and I offer no objections. Ugh. Cannot pronounce anything worth shit. Three-way split. Alright. Time to take the stairs. As I start to slowly descend the stairs in the dim light, I stretch my hands out in front of me to try and feel for something. However, all I'm greeted with is the moist feeling of these grimy stone walls. We've descended the staircase. To the left lies a huge stone archway, and to the right we can see a narrow path twisting into the darkness. We enter a passway. The passage makes a sharp turn to the right before stretching on through this subterranean maze. Before long, we're greeted with a beautifully ornate set of doors on the right. Strange. There's a distinct smell of flowers coming from here. We come to a comfortably decorated room. Small trinkets have been placed on the desk and shelves, adding some charm. The owner of this room has obviously gone to great lengths to try and bring a somewhat graceful lifestyle into this otherwise dark mansion. Still, the room seems to carry an unsettling stillness with it. Bet it's Lynx's daughter's room, Kid says, surveying some of the items. The letter on the desk and the warm teacup hint of a woman living here. Excuse me. However, after searching the room, no one is found. All we find is various odds and ends, a beautifully arranged set of flowers, a white handkerchief carelessly tossed aside, a small bottle of perfume, and so on. Although this stuff adds atmosphere to the room, none of it is really worth anything to us. Kid also seems to feel this way, disregarding most of the stuff in here. She picks up a small box decorated with a serpentine coat of arms. However, like the rest of the items in here, it looks like it's of little worth to us. What should I do now? I ask Kid to open the small box. As Kid slowly opens the box, a comforting melody fills the air. That song, Kid suddenly says. Standing up beside me, I look over to her. Seeing her expression has changed to vulnerable curiosity, chasing a long-lost memory. You know this song, Kid? Yeah, a long time ago, someone I knew used to sing it to me. She turns away from me, rubbing her eyes. Kid? I say softly, putting my hand on her shoulder. After a moment or two, she looks back at me. Tears are running down her cheeks. Without saying a word, Kid walks quickly to the door. Hey, wait up, Kid, I say, chasing after her. Alright, stretches. Alright. Let's head to the right. After a little while, the dark passageway ends at a polished, robust set of doors. Kid crinkles her nose in disgust. Something strange about this place. It don't feel right, mate. Probably just my imagination, though. Standing here in the cold darkness, Kid's hollow laugh does nothing but add to my fear. No time like the present. These are apparently Lynx's quarters. No one seems to be here, however. Right on top of you now, Lynx. Say your prayers, you bastard. Looking around, it's a very dilapidated room. Furniture is thrown about in all directions, and almost nothing matches. Taking a look at the room as a whole, there's no sense of harmony whatsoever. It's very suggestive of a chaotic mind. Alright, the key to that vault's gotta be in here somewhere, Kid says as she starts to search. Frozen flame, here we come. I sift through a number of odd items adorning the room. There's a cluttered desk, a painting that's hanging unevenly on the far wall, and a picture on a side table. In one corner of the room stands a tall, curious object of some sort. A scarlet cloth has been placed over it, covering it up. As I slowly reach my hand out to uncover it, Maggle suddenly says, "Please avoid reckless interference." Taking his advice, I return my hand to my side. However, the cloth suddenly starts to fall off on its own. I didn't touch it, I swear! What? Did it just leap all up by itself? Kid asks, rolling her eyes. A large mirror has been uncovered. Fancifully decorated, it looks to be a high-priced, arabesque antique. I got a bad feeling about this. Then all of a sudden, the reflection of the Venus statue opens its eyes, staring at us through the mirror. Is there something you seek? The statue's reflection asks in a soft, womanly voice, like I just did. The voice seems to be coming from the statue in front of me, but only the mirror's reflection seems to be moving. It can talk! It's a mirror of whispers, Maggle says, examining it closely. But what is it? It is a looking glass that harbors a living spirit. The spirit is free to roam throughout nearby mirrors, able to see into our everyday lives. They are known to be quite wise. Is there anything you wish to ask? Wow, a million questions come to mind. What's going on inside a Lynx's mind right now, I ask, as my curiosity momentarily overcomes my fear. The surface of the mirror ripples gently before fading into darkness. Before long, a sentence of white text begins to materialize. Huh? Kid asks, frustratedly staring at the text. What's "be so kind and find him by yourselves" supposed to mean? That's your answer, you damn mirror! You just want a good smashing, don't you? She yells, stepping towards it. However, the mirror's clarity begins to fade, and all of the remaining text becomes too foggy to read. Kid shakes the mirror in anger, but the mirror seems to have lost its vision. The spirit has transferred itself to another mirror. It's useless to try and speak to it now, McGill says. Damn mirror! Come on, let's find another one, Kid insists, rushing out of Lynx's quarters. Heading back, we travel through the passageway. Let's keep walking. Alright, we enter the stone archway. Oop, let me make sure. Oh, that's just it being. Peeping in from the arched entranceway, Kid looks astonished. Wow, look at this! I heard about these things. They're called atriums. A large fountain sits in the center of this beautiful room. Looking across the way, another archway, similar to this one, leads off into the darkness. Whew! Cold! Kid exclaims, taking her hand out of the water. Coming to her side, I kneel down and peer into the pond. Looking over the beautiful marble edge, I too feel the chilly water. From deep beneath the surface, a number of fish start to swim towards us. These buggers look expensive. I can't seem to see the bottom of the pond. I wonder how deep it is. The fish are a little restless, splashing here and there. Suddenly, Kid tugs at my arm, jerking my hand out of the water. Before I can ask why, one of the fish leaps out, snapping at me. We scramble to our feet and take a few steps back from the fountain. Many other fish soon follow, jumping out of the water, snapping at us. A few land outside the pond. I kick one of them into a corner, watching it violently squirm around. It appears to be a piranha. More and more of them emerge from the apparently bottomless depth. Having gotten a fresh scent of game, the piranhas start to splash around more viciously now, getting water everywhere. Wonder how many things could be in here. Ooh, excuse me. It looks like there are more and more of them emerging every second. Suddenly a dark red liquid starts to erupt from the fountain. Kid leaps back at once. I'm shocked as well, staring dumbfoundedly at the erupting fountain. The gushing red liquid shoots higher and higher. The water level in the pond rapidly rises, taking on a disgusting red hue. Before long, the water level has started to overflow onto the floor. A bead of sweat rolls down my brow as I realize that the room is about to fill with water. We might be able to make it to a safe distance before the piranhas reach us. Quick, what will we do? Head back to the staircase. Come on, we're outnumbered. Splashing through the water, we turn back, heading for the passageway from where we came. However, a few of them manage to sink their teeth into me before I can get away. I kick off the last remaining few as I bolt out of this vile room. Whew, what a close call. The rat bastard. Whatever tricks he's got up his sleeve, it won't stop us for long! We're coming for you, Lynx! Resting on a wall to tend to my wounds, I look up and notice something out of the ordinary. Hey, was this here before? Carved into the wall, a large marble sculpture of an intimidating face stares down at us coldly. It looks as though it's been sculpted by a fine artisan. It's very detailed, its features are beautifully etched and barely eroded. It's a mouth of truth, Magil says. A what? A mouth of truth. The legend is that if you are given to lying, a mouth of truth will know it if you put your hand into its mouth. Oh, what a odd idea, Kid says, rolling her eyes. Let's see you do it, I say. Kid looks up worried, but seeing Magil looking at her, feels a resolve and tentatively puts her hands in the mouth. However, after a few seconds, nothing seems to be happening. Hey, what do you know? Guess I passed the test. That can't be all there is to it. I know. Kid, how many pounds do you weigh? 104? Kid suddenly takes on a worried look, but before she can remove her hands, the marble set of teeth clamps down into her wrists. Hey, you stupid face, what's going on? The white marble teeth gnaw from side to side, becoming stained with red. Damn it, let me go! Magil calmly offers an explanation from behind us. Without saying something truthful to the best of one's ability, a mouth of truth will never let go. Not hearing him at all, Kid kicks the stone face in a fit of anger. Let me go, you stupid face! I swear I'm going to knock your teeth in! Then, as swiftly as it closed, the mouth opens. I crouch down to Kid, who's kneeling on the floor, rubbing her wrists. Wow, I guess you weren't lying about knocking its teeth in. Of course not, mate. I showed him I'm good. Bloody stone face. You didn't put anything inside the mouth, did you, Kid? Magil asks. What are you talking about, no? I walk over beside Magil and peer into the mouth. There, behind its teeth, is a large pink tongue. I think there's some sort of indentation on it, but I can't be sure. It's really far back in there. Maybe it wants us to put something on its tongue. Maybe that's the real test. Kid begins taking out her things from in her pockets, under her shoes, and out of her hair. She gathers all sorts of personal effects. She stretches the pile of trinkets held in her hands out to me, smiling innocently. Guess it's my turn to face the test. As long as Kid's safe, I'm happy, I suppose. Wondering what the mouth of truth could possibly want, I reach for one of her accessories. I take the small silver mirror into my hands and place it into the huge marble mouth. Well, no sign of tooth decay here. The mouth doesn't bulge an inch. Whatever's supposed to happen isn't happening. Kid takes the mirror from me and fixes her hair a little. Oh man, she looks so cute when she does that. We should test others before we stop. I take the file and place it into the marmoreal mouth of truth. It doesn't seem to fit in the tongue, but then, damn it, it dropped down the back of its throat. Ah, what'd you have to go and do that for? Nail files don't grow on trees, Serge. Don't you know how important one of those things is to a lady? Whoa. So now I see her true colors. What was that for, I asked, reeling back from her slap. That's the last of my things you'll be getting your hands on. Come on, kid. It won't happen again, I promise. Humph. Alright, I guess. Showing me the rest of her trinkets. I'm only doing this for the flame. A centipede? You were carrying around a centipede with you this entire time? Perhaps it's a pet? It's only a toy, silly. Oh, okay. But still, it's for scarab fools like you. See, it worked. Boy, the things I'm learning about Kid these days. Anyhow, I take her rubber centipede and place it into the mouth of Truth's mouth. Damn it, it's too slippery. I accidentally drop it down its throat. Surge, why you keep losing my stuff? I can still reach it, I think. It didn't go that far down, I say, putting my whole arm inside. Goosebumps run up my body as I realize that this thing could bite my entire arm off. Hold on. Come on, Surge, just a little more. Aha! Got it. I hope this thing is important to you. Yeah, losing it would be a drag, Kid answers. I wipe the sweat off my brow, letting out a deep sigh. Well, that didn't seem to work either. What else do you have? Could be here all night at this rate. I take the lipstick and smear some of it on the mouth of the Truth. On the mouth of Truth's marble lips. Hey, more lipstick! Kid explodes at the mere sight of me wasting the lipstick. It's a shame. I thought I did a very good job of prettying the marble face up. It's not what it's used for. It's just strange for you to have something like this with you in the first place, Kid. What? Now you're saying it's weird for me to own cosmetics? No. Not really. You better buy me a new one once we get out of here. Alright, I'll owe it to you, I answer apologetically. She won't be letting me forget about this one very easily, I can tell. Special raisins. I take some of Kid's special raisins out of her cloth bag and place them in the giant mouth. Munch, munch. It seems to be eating them. Hey, stop, you dumb rockhead! Those are emergency rations! Kid snatches the pouch from me, looking at the single morsel I have left in my hand. I find myself wondering what these so-called emergency rations taste like. Tasty. Surge, now you eating them too? I'm not going to be left for real emergencies, Kid says, staring at me angrily. Yeah, right, I say to myself. I've never seen her offer any of them to me when I needed them. I take the thin silk thread into my hand and hang it down into the huge marble mouth. That's a silk fishing line taken from a royal silkworm. Be careful with it. I can feel it hook onto something as the thread gives a bit of a tug. Looking in, it appears to be some sort of paper. Alright, we're onto something for sure, Kid says, trying to look inside. She tilts her head forward, trying to see in better, but then the mouth of Troop stretches out its tongue. Ah! What the heck? Burp. Where the tongue licked us, we start to feel a warmth which gradually spreads over our bodies. Whoa. We're being healed. Leaning against the wall, Mago somberly asks, what now? Well, let's try the leather scroll. I take the worn leather scroll into my hands and examine it. What's this? Secret ninja training techniques? Kid smiles lazily, rolling her eyes. I unfasten the tie and open up the scroll. Oh, wow. Strange symbols are written at length on the scroll. A lot has been written here. It appears this took some time to write, judging by my face that it is something of importance. Kid walks over and takes a look. Oh, it's an Imperial code chart primer. It's used for transmitting information through enemy lines. Really? I can't read none of it. You've got to show us how to use this thing. What would I want to do that for? It would ruin the secrecy, she says, walking off alone. Maybe she can't read it either. Okay, well, what are we going to do about this big old hunk of rock? Kid asks hastily. I take a ball of gunpowder out of Kid's hand and place it within the huge stone mouth. However, nothing happens. Do it, Surge, Kid says, putting some matches in my hand. I don't know about this. Do it. I don't know, really. Suddenly I hear the sound of a fuse burning. Kid's already lit the bomb. I quickly run for cover in a far corner. As the smoke clears, I start to see the hideous remains of the cracked mouth of Truth. From beside me, I watch Kid dust herself off and walk over to the mutilated stone face with yet another bomb. Come on, Kid, we don't need to completely demolish it. Oh, it ain't dangerous, mate. It's just a little fire. Kid glances over at my face. I'm practically begging her to stop. Alright already, you never want to have any fun, Kid says, kicking some dirt around. Well, what next? Alright, well... Bewildered, I tell Kid to put her stuff away. Something gives me the feeling that none of these things are what it wants. Has to be something in the mansion that fits. We probably just haven't found it yet. Gotta keep our eyes peeled. We come to a branch after a ways. To our right is a staircase. To the left, well, the start of a dark passageway is directly up. So, yeah, we're gonna take the stairs. Hoping not to lose my balance. We've ascended the staircase in front of us. Paths extend. Do I want a dark corridor? Yeah, let's go to the study. We head down the path after a while. It ends at a stained wooden door. This is the study, I think. If we keep on dawdling, it'll be morning before we know it. We leave the study, retracing our steps to the dark passageway. Alright. Alright, let's head back downstairs. Don't have to read everything that happens. Enter the passage on the right. Let's enter the room. We come to a comfortably small trinket, adding some charm. We know that. Yeah, we read all this. Breeze coming in through the window, coming in through a slightly open window, refreshes me a little. Wait, that window wasn't open before. Someone was just in here, it seems. Let's come back another time. We don't want to get caught snooping around. For the time being, we leave Rydell's room. From here, the passageway stretches to the right and left. Heading to the right will take us to Lynx's quarters. Lynx's quarters. Oh man, I can feel Kid's blood boiling from here. The dark mirror looms before us like a still lake on a moonless evening. Is there something you wish to know? The Venus statue asks. If you know where the key to the treasure vault is, could you please tell us? The mirror's surface begins to ripple. The whirling smoke soon takes shape into a picture of a large room decorated with rows and rows of books. In a beautiful womanly voice, the mirror responds, the key you seek, as you see before you, rests within this room. Towards the rear of the great sanctuary of knowledge, within a large purple book, you will find the item you so desire. The image slowly fades and returns to a normal reflection. The spirit has apparently moved to another mirror, Nigel says. Alright, to the study! So I went to the study, and apparently that's not where As I head through the door, I suddenly get the feeling I'm being watched. I come to a stop and look around. Then suddenly a faint whisper reaches my ears. Be careful. They know. Whose voice was that? It wasn't any of ours. The mirror? It wouldn't double-cross us, would it? Kid heads out the door, bolting down the corridor. I frantically chase after her, easily as eager as she is. Heading back, we travel through the passageway, eager to shake the feeling of dread. After walking a ways, we come to a beautifully decorated set of doors on the left. Rydell's room. And keep on walking. Continuing on through the passage, eventually we come to a branch. Upward staircase, stone archway. Take the stairs. Hoping not to lose my balance, we ascend the staircase. I like how once you've visited a room, it tells you it's the study. We head down the path. After a while, it ends at the stained wooden door. We go in. Okay, time to find that key, Kid says as she steps into the center of the room, surrounded by row after row of books. Where did that crazy mayor say we could find it? Hey, Serge, pay attention when I'm talking to you. Huh? I thought you remembered which one it was. So which is it? It is the purple book in back. I'm pretty sure it's that purple book over there, I think. Which one? Oh, I see it. Kid pulls out a purple book towards the bottom of the shelves. I watch closely as she opens it up. Flipping through the pages, suddenly an old brass key falls out of the book, hitting the ground with a clank. Alright, the key! Throwing the book aside, Kid bends down and grabs the key. Her eyes light up as she stares at it in her hands. We race out of the study, eager to see what awaits us in the vault. Magiel follows behind a moment later after returning the book to the shelf. Because Maggle is smart and doesn't want us to get caught and murdered. We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passageway. Finally, the passage comes to a three-way branch. Descending. Head towards the terrace. Enter the right passageway. Yeah, we're going to head towards the terrace. We go out onto the terrace. We walk quietly out onto the terrace, instantly welcomed by a cold nighttime breeze. The dreary forest we came through lies directly ahead. A light chill is sent down my spine as I watch the treetops rustle in the howling wind. Let's talk a little with Kid. Gotta get that bastard. He's in here somewhere, I'm sure of it. Before long, we'll be right on top of you, Lynx. I can see the fire in her eyes from here. She's cute when she's angry. Come on, what'd you drag me all the way out here for? We should head back inside. The sun will be up soon, Maggle adds. Yeah, really. Come on, mate. Time to go. We head back in. Passages extend to the left and right. Wherever we turn, darkness awaits. Right passage. After a few moments, we come to the old, dusty door. The room is quiet, except for the sounds of the gears. No sign of the hooded lady. Hello? Ma'am? Well, if you're not here, say so, you old hag. The silence is deafening. This is a waste of time. We should investigate elsewhere, says Maggle, turning on his heel. We follow him out. Okay. From here, the passageway stretches to the right and left. The right path continues on to the mansion. So, we're going to go to the right. Come to a staircase going up, and a firm-looking set of doors. There better be treasure here. The smell of gold's thick in the air, mate. Go inside. It better open now, says Kid, putting the key we found in the lock. As the lock clicks, we're suddenly showered in all colors of light. Must have been an enchanted lock. Whatever's on the other side of this door's gotta be good. The heavy doors open slowly. Inside the room, I gasp at the awesome spectacle laid out before our eyes. Despite the sparse light, a brimming mountain of silver, gold, and other precious-looking artifacts shimmer and twinkle throughout this huge treasure vault. Kid is almost drooling at the sight, but to be fair, a sight like this would captivate most people. Enormous heaps of riches are piled before our eyes, in amounts most people would probably never see in their entire lives. It looks to be authentic. Remember, our goal is the flame. Do not waste time with frivolities, says Maggle flatly. Jeez, I told ya, I know. Regardless of Maggle's warning, Kid can't help but be taken aback. She gawks at the room's contents in awe until... Hey, what's that in the back on that pedestal? There, a palm-sized jewel radiates a pale crimson light. Resting patiently behind the other treasures It looks as though it's a roaring flame that's somehow been frozen in time. The frozen flame. As Maggle glides over towards the pedestal, I nervously call out. Be careful, we can't afford falling into a trap. Fine, Kid frustratedly says, glancing back at the door. Just remember we're short on time. After investigating the pedestal for a little while, Surge was correct, it does seem to be trapped. Maggle steps back, mumbling something in a low voice while placing his hand near the base of the pedestal. Slowly an inscription begins to emerge on its surface, shining brightly for a moment. It should be disarmed now, he says, before cautiously lifting the scarlet jewel from the pedestal. Surge's party got the frozen flame! Whew! We did it! With a sigh of relief, I turn towards Maggle. He's looking intently at the flame. Way to go, Maggle! Alright, let's... Suddenly the gem shatters into 1,000 pieces in Maggle's hand. It's a fake! Indeed, that fiend Lynx would never have let the real flame in a place like this. Damn. Suddenly, an alarm bell rings out. The room lights up and heavy metal bars fall in front of the door. Our only exit is blocked. I look around only to see Kid holding a fancy crown, suddenly realizing what she's done. Surge's party got the golden crown. That dim-witted dingo, I say that to myself, making fun of her accent, obviously. Suddenly, out of the corners of the room, 4 mechanical birds suddenly come to life. Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Their loud metallic screeching only adds to my uneasiness. It doesn't look like it will open, says Maggle, checking the iron bars in front of the door. Before Maggle can even finish his sentence, we start to hear deep, snarling voices somewhere outside the room. Which way is it coming from? A heavy voice asks. Sounds like the treasure vault's alarm to me. The voices continue to get louder and louder as we stand motionless inside the room. We silently gawk at each other, hoping any one of us will have some sort of plan. Kid hides herself under a mountain of gold coins. Quick! Hide, mate! I frantically look around the room. There, over in the far corner, there's an empty treasure chest behind a post. I dash over towards it, climb in, and close the lid. Looks like there's no one in here, boss. That's strange. No one's ever been able to escape this old thing. Softly opening the lid of the chest, I take a peek outside through the small crack and see 5 goblins bedecked in armor, having unlocked the iron bars and standing just a few feet from me. They look around the room hesitantly, peeking into the shadows. Eventually, one of them raises his head to speak. Maybe a rat set it off. The cook was complaining about rats just the other day. Rats? You tried to tell me a rat set off the trap? Fat goblin questions the other with a doubtful face. And with that, squeak, 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 comes from the corner over by where Kid's hiding. Taken aback, the goblins start moving and look at each other. After a little while, the chief slowly strokes his chin and says, No, actually. Wasn't it stray cats that the cook was complaining about? Meow, meow, comes the voice the second time. Again, the goblins glance at each other. That's strange. What I heard was that it was a vicious Hecarim that raided the pantry, I think. Not a peep this time. I can only picture Kid racking her brain, trying to think of what a Hecarim sounds like. Just as I thought. A thief, says one of the guards. But just as they start to approach, run! Oh, well, then he's certainly a Hecarim, without a doubt, one of them says, exchanging a smile with the others. Well, that's pretty frightening then. Come on, let's get out of here. The pack begins to file out of the treasure vault. But then suddenly the goblins all spring on the pile of gold. Well, what do we have here? Hey, get your hands off me, you slimy freaks! Kid says, struggling to break free. Slimy? A thief like you isn't much of a position to criticize, one of them hollers at her. Excuse me. Ooh. Kicking herself free of their grasp, Kid inches back into the corner of the room. The goblins start to corner her off, laughing to themselves. I quietly sneak out of my hiding place and unsheathe my knife. Taking on an entire troop of armed goblins is a lost cause, even for Kid. What should I do? Frankly, I'm in a quandary. Got to save her. Yeah, I can't abandon my friends, especially at a time like this. Gripping my knife tightly, I charge into the center of the room, shouting, Hey, you stupid oafs! They all turn around, staring at me blankly for a moment before their expressions turn to rage. You just come out here to die, didn't you, little man? You really want us to trample over your head that badly? Well, I suppose we can accommodate you, the goblin boss says, giving a deep laugh. Without a moment's hesitation, Kid shouts back, Don't you think you could easily pick a fight with the likes of the great Kid and get away with it? Wait a minute. So you're the elusive Kid? The boss asks as its eyes softly narrow. How sweet is this? Perhaps if I deliver your head to Lord Lynx, he'll give me a nice reward. The boss goblin takes its morning star from its side. The huge iron ball jangles down to the floor. Please, don't confuse us with ordinary goblins, striking fear into the hearts of men anywhere. We are Lynx's elite security force, the fearsome, magical gobbler team. Yeah, I'm sure they're very magical gobblers, if you know what I mean. If you got time to spout all of that nonsense, then you sure got enough time to get your asses kicked. Kid shouts in the goblin's voice because I don't know who's talking, exploding with a fierce roundhouse kick. The goblin teeters and staggers, dizzied by the brunt of her attack. Let's get 'em, boys! Start with a little twap over there. Metal balls begin to swing around, swooshing through the air with deadly speed. Jet gobbler attack now! Sliding across the room like the wind, the goblins simultaneously rush us. Oh no. Looking up, all I see is a goblin coming at me head-on, ready to bash its weapon against my skull. I feel the gust of wind from the metal ball as it closely grazes by me. Somehow, I manage to dodge safely. However, I fall off balance and hit the ground with a thud. Just then, I start to hear an odd howling noise from behind me. I turn around to see Magil's black wind spell streaking out from his fingertips, transforming in mid-air into a countless number of razors. They fly like homing missiles into one of the goblins, cutting it to shreds. How can a human have so much power? Who are you? Arrgh! The goblin shrieks in fear as its body is effortlessly torn to pieces. Magil's expression remains unchanged as he silently surveys the scene, looking for his next target. Another huge iron ball whizzes through the air, swinging down towards me. As quickly as I can, I roll over and try to dodge the attack. Yes! The iron ball smashes into the floor, sending sparks flying everywhere. It misses me by a hair's breadth. I frantically scramble away from the weapon. Looking up, all I see is a goblin coming at me head-on, ready to bash its weapon into my skull. Frantically parrying the goblin's attack, I try to lunge with my knife. However, before I can do anything, the goblin snaps me up in its thick arms and smashes me as hard as it can into the floor. My mind goes blank. Beside me, an arrow of light jumps out from Magil's fingertips, instantly pulverizing the goblin. It topples to the ground, half vaporized. Magil stares at it with his ever-present eyes of steel as his dark cape flaps in the breeze. Another huge iron ball whizzes through the air, swinging towards me. I've got to think of a better strategy than just standing around. I quickly put my weight into the goblin, trying to force it off balance. Gritting my teeth, I butt my head against the goblin's face. My head feels like it's hit by a hammer. However, as I open my eyes, I see that the goblin's in a lot worse shape than I am. It falls backwards in a daze, its mouth a bloody mess. My head feels like it's on fire. I take a second to regain my wits. Just then, I start to hear an odd howling noise from behind me. More black wind. So that's 3 goblins so far. Long live Lord Lynx! Glory to the magical gobbler! Says the last of the goblins as it comes crashing to the ground in a bloody mess. Whew! That's the last of them. Alright. Easy, easy, says Kid, wiping some sweat off her brow. Damn it, Serge, you're such a loon, thinking you could rescue me from those goons like that. It worked out pretty well, though, eh, mate? We must be on our way, Magil says. There's no way of knowing who else knows we're here now. I know, that bastard's causing us too much trouble. They said they were Lynx's personal guards, yeah? They might have some valuable stuff on them. But before she even finishes speaking, Kid starts to search the head goblin's clothes. Sheesh, there's really no need to be such a scavenger. Hey, what's this, she says, removing a small metal object from the goblin's pocket. It's a hand-shaped medallion of some sort, covered in archaic-looking symbols. It's a key, Maggle says, walking over towards us. His marking suggests it unlocks a certain magical seal. Wow. Well, they're lost, says Kid, casually putting the plate in her pocket. Damn it, they don't have any other good stuff. Cheap goblins. She stands up and looks around, sighing. It'd be a waste to leave all the loot behind, though. We can always come back for it later, Kid. Kid turns around and grins. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's go. The night won't last forever. From the treasure vault, paths extend. The terrace and the staircases. We're gonna go... Yeah, we go back to the terrace. Yeah. Proceed towards the terrace. Go onto the terrace real quick. It's chilly out. Talk a little with Kid. Go to get that bastard. He's in here. Oh, she's just talking more about killing him. Let's try talking with Maggle. The air's thick with fate surge. Be wary of what lurks in these shadows. Hearing him say this reminds me of the weight of our situation. Still, aside from a few cuts and bruises, I've managed to keep myself in reasonable shape so far. Yeah, Maggle, I know. It's really going to be something when we finally find that flame. Come on. We don't have time to loaf around. Let's get back to work, I hear Kid say. Head back into the manor. We go left. Splits into 3 directions. We are going to take the stairs. Yeah, we definitely don't want to... Well, once again, to the ominous mouth of truth. Maybe there's something we didn't try before, Kid says, taking out her personal effects and holding them out at me. Me again? Kid smiles at me innocently. Amidst my hesitation, I reach for one of her accessories. I take the hand-shaped plate. It's strange. Contorted symbols give me a headache just by looking at them. Nervously, I reach in and place it onto the tongue. It's a perfect fit! Sliding into place, I quickly remove my hand and back away a few steps. The huge white eyes start moving around slowly, and a slight vibration can be felt from behind the wall. Something's happening. Something big. I just wish I knew whether it's good or bad. An odd sound escapes from the mouth of truth as its eyes continue to roll. I want to make a run for it, however I look over and see the ever-fearless expression in Kid's eyes and stay my ground. Suddenly, the marble sculpture stops moving. I stare at it, wonder what's going on. Then its tongue starts to roll around inside its mouth while its eyes tilt further and further upward until its pupils disappear underneath its eyelids. We hear the plate sliding down its throat, vanishing into the deep, dark depths of the mansion. What's happening? Apparently a pious being such as this may roll its eyes from time to time. The simple fact that Maggle tried to make a joke just there makes me stop and forget where I am for a second. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna lose another one of my things. I could have got a lot of cash for that, Kid says regrettably. Suddenly, over by the atrium, we start to hear some sort of latch being opened, and then moments later the sound of water draining echoes throughout the corridor. Taking a few steps towards the atrium, I see the red water has formed into a whirlpool and is flowing down into the pond. The piranhas are being washed away. What's the matter, little fishies? Not enough water? Oh, playtime's over, you nasty buggers. Come on, I'm dying to see what's past the fountain. Having crossed through the atrium, eventually we come to a split in the path. We can either go left or right from here. It's been about 2 hours. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to make myself some green tea and use the bathroom. I'm going to pause the stream for a second, but it should be back up and running in less than 15 minutes. So we are back, or we should be. There we go. So, we're back. I got myself some green tea. That my wife had bought from the Amish market. Put some honey in it. This should help my voice. So, we're gonna go left. After a bit of walking, we come to an old-looking door with a brass handle. Damn it, another locked door. I don't get it. There's no smell of gold or nothing. This leads to Viper Manor's catacombs, says Maggle hesitantly. He's right. Standing here in silence, I realize there's a faint scent of death in the air. Ooh, sorry, burps. And then, putting my ear to the door, I start to hear deep, tortured moans from far beyond. I jump back, looking at the door. Let's try somewhere else. Heading away from the catacombs, we eventually come to a split. Turning right, heads back to the atrium, while ahead of us I can see nothing but a dark stone corridor leading off into the darkness. Onward! After a little ways down the passageway, we come to a descending staircase. Well, we're going to keep going down. We slowly walk down the stairs, taking us deep below ground. It's as though we are descending further and further into an endless abyss. Once we reach the bottom, we come to another split. We can go left or right, but both paths look equally dismal. Let's try the right. After a little while, the passage ends at a small door. Hey! I smell home cooking. I enter. Oh, it's just a small kitchen. For the servants, probably, I add. I look around the tiny room. There's a sink, pots and pans, and a bunch of food in the cupboards. A rat hangs in a cage off in a corner. But aside from that, it's a pretty average kitchen. Kid walks over to a deep saucepan and peers inside. Smells fresh. Want some grub, Serge? Sure. I timidly peer into the saucepan. It looks like some sort of stew. Using a ladle on the stove, I reach in and take a big scoop. Delicious. Kid looks at me again. After a moment of hesitation, she comes over. Quit hogging it all for yourself, mate, she says, taking the ladle and sniffing the warm mixture. Want some Maggle? No, thank you. We take some bowls from the shelves and serve ourselves some more. As we eat more and more, the stew's warmth flows all through us. I feel great. But then all of a sudden, a quiet, shrill voice echoes out. It seems to be coming from over by the cage. Oh, what an independent young lad. Are all the boys wearing braids these days? I stop and look at Kid. Who's there? Looking over in the direction of the voice, we see nothing but the single rat. It stares at us with its small, beady eyes. Excuse me. You're a girl, not a boy. Looks like Kid can't decide whether to be puzzled or infuriated by all this. But just between you and me, I don't think this is the first time her personality has led someone to think she's a guy. Hello, 1-1. My cat's here. Do you want to join us? You're just going to rub yourself on my feet. Whatever. He'll bug us when he's ready. At any rate, the brown rat continues. Listen, please, kind humans, I'm trapped within a most unfortunate situation. While on my way to the kitchen this morning to bring home some food for my mother, goblins seized me and trapped me here in this cage. Unless I can escape, I am to be a side dish for their next meal. You can come up here. Just climb your way up, it's fine. Oh, there you are. There you are. There he is. One's here. Oh. A side dish? Listening to the rat, Kid walks over to the sink. Please, you must help me. My desperately ill mother awaits my return, the rat pleads, its eyes twinkling in the light. However, I look over towards Kid. She's over by the sink, her face getting redder and redder. Stupid rat! Don't even know a lady when you see one! Kid yells, stomping out of the kitchen. Oh, young lady, I did not mean to... With Kid gone, the rat turns towards me. Brother, help me. Yeah, I'll help out you out, rat. I understand. Excuse me. I open the cage door. The rat quickly scurries out. The rat laughs as a strange smile comes over its face. You really are a bunch of fools. Spitting out those words, the rat suddenly starts to tremble, before rapidly growing in size, growing larger and larger by the second. It's a griffin! Stupid humans, you're just in time for lunch. My mother's, that is! Damn it, Serge, you walked right into its trap. Ah, what was I thinking? The griffin rises up onto its hind legs, screeching and flapping its huge wings. Suddenly its sharp talons swoop down at us. I frantically try and dodge the beast, hoping to avoid the terrifying 3-inch claws. I manage to avoid its blow, but I'm now cornered into the back of the room. As it inches near me for a strike, it rises up on its hind legs once again, this time even higher than before. However, in a moment of blind luck, the griffin suddenly loses balance on the slippery floor and comes crashing to the ground. Urgh! Whoa, talk about close calls. I let out a breath of relief as I stand over the griffin, wondering what to do next. So, you ugly little rat, now who's stupid? Wait, please, I beg you, kind, beautiful human girl. I am aware of valued information. If you promise to spare my life, I will tell you a special secret of the mansion. I don't know. You lied already, you bugger. I'd rather just kill you and have it be over with, Kid says, taking a step closer. Kid, let us hear what he has to say, Maggle says, coming between them. Kid pauses for a second and then steps back. Thank you. That would have been fun, Kid says, shrugging. One day, you too may find yourselves within my situation, caged in on all sides. If such a fate comes to pass, remember these directions, and your lives shall be spared. Right 3 steps. Left 2 steps. Right 2 steps. And then you'll see. No sooner than it says this, the griffin transforms back into a rat, scurrying off into a crack in the wall. There's a cat here. I'm petting him, if you guys are wondering. I sure hope sparing that thing was worth it. Who knows when it'll sneak up on us next? 1-1. Before we long, we come to an ascending staircase on the left. The passageway also continues on ahead. Onward! After a little ways, we're presented with a sturdy set of doors. A wooden plaque has been hung above the doorframe. Only one word is written on it. Armory. Armory, eh? Key to the catacombs has got to be in here. Kid places her ear on the door. Not a peep. I'm not turning back. Oh, you got hair on my nose, cat. You're a bad cat. He's not. He's adorable. Someone is here, however. With a book in hand, a single goblin sits in a chair, humming to itself. A sweet aroma fills the room, presumably from the teacup sitting on the table before it. I have a kind of a bigger teacup. Mine's more a mug. There's something different about this goblin. It doesn't seem hostile in the least. Looking up from its book, it examines us from behind its bifocals. Ah, welcome. It's rare to have visitors all the way down here. Too bad we're not guests, Kid shouts. If you want to live, tell us where the key to the catacombs is. And with that, Kid takes her knife and thrusts it into the desk, slicing through the tablecloth. The goblin remains docile. Oh, you must be the elusive Kid. I so wanted to see you with my own eyes. We've all heard so much about you. But before it can finish its sentence, Kid grabs the knife and hurls it through the air. The goblin sets its book down, now unreadable due to the 7-inch blade protruding through it. It removes the knife and places it on the table. Your reputation precedes you. You are quite a radical young lady. Nevertheless, it's a shame. I wanted to see how that novel ended up. Please, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Esmeld, it says, offering a simple introduction. Please, I do not hate to keep my guests standing at bay. Come, sit. We shall converse over tea. My first thought is that it's poison. Despite my concerns, Maggle sits down. Looking over towards Kids. I see she truly doesn't want anything to do with this. She remains standing, keeping a vigilant eye on the goblin. I stand beside her, folding my arms. Black tea is set for 3 at the table. Ah, there we are. After a moment, Maggle takes the teacup and brings it slowly to his mouth. He takes a sip and then sets the cup back on the table. Esmond smiles. Ah, Himalayan chimpanzee. I have not had this blend in quite some time, Maggle says. Oh, I see you are a gentleman of fine taste. I will have you know not many of my visitors have known of this type of black tea. Listening to their banter, I stare at my cup. Take a sip. I nervously sit down and take the cup into my hands. Still... Oh, hold on. Method acting. Delicious, I exclaim. I've never had anything like this before. I loosen up a bit, sitting back in my chair. Wait a sec. What's going on? My wounds, they're being healed. Looking over towards Kid, she seems to be enjoying it as well. So, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Certainly, the key to the catacombs has to be around here somewhere. Whether I remember where it is, however, that's a different story. Is there something you'd like in exchange? Something I want. Your life, perhaps? He says, as his eyes light up from behind his glasses. I grip my knife. Oh, you misunderstood, young man. I don't wish to harm you, Esmond says, noticing the sudden look of shock on my face. I enjoy chatting with many types of visitors that we have in the mansion. Surely, as an adventurer, you must have plenty of interesting stories to tell. Adding to this, he looks in my direction with a smile. I look highly on unique stories and have been known to reward such storytellers. Staring down at the dark liquid before me, I start to rack my brain for a really good story. Okay, I've got it. One particular evening, a small girl walked through a dark, dreary forest. The girl had searched anywhere and everywhere for the golden sunflower, the only cure for her mother's illness. And so, after walking endlessly, after 3 days, the girl hadn't eaten a single thing. A fine beginning, perhaps. Is that all? No, on one evening, a girl walked through a forest, searching for the only cure for her mother, the golden sunflower. After walking endlessly, the girl hadn't eaten in 3 whole days, and suddenly before her, she came across a gold light shining in a clearing. It was the golden sunflower. The girl put a few of the sunflower seeds into her bag. She was sure it would cure her mother, she thought. However, it was all a dream. With a happy face, the girl awoke, ready to start another day. Oh, brother. A fairly interesting story. Very well, here's the key. Esmond leans over towards the wall and knocks on a certain spot. There, a secret trap door opens up. He reaches in and takes out a key. There's a cat on my back. I am petting him right now. However, as I start to reach for the key, Esmeld recoils his hand. Sighing, the goblin speaks. Yes, I suppose you could say there's something more that I wish for. Sighing, I glance at Maggle, then back to Esmeld. Long ago, when I was a young, foolish lad, I was involved with General Viper's daughter, Miss Riddell. Riddell? The General's daughter? Oh, you didn't know? Indeed, Miss Riddell's true father was General Viper. Anyhow, for the sake of harnessing the power of the frozen flame, Lord Lynx abducted Miss Riddell, taking her as his own daughter. Within that strange rock was a strong mental connection to this particular mistress. And so I have resided here all these years, silently waiting for the right time to exact revenge on Lord Lynx for taking my dear Miss Riddell from me. If you have come in order to find Lord Lynx, promise me you will not mention any of this. You have come here to slay him, have you not? Esmond asked calmly, holding the key in his hand. I freeze up, not knowing what to say. Well, this is sure a strange turn of events. Hearing these things from a goblin who's supposed to be defending Viper Manor, it makes me wonder if I'm dreaming. All of a sudden, Kid interrupts. You bet your green ass that's our plan, alright? I see. Well, I certainly don't wish to detain you any longer. I will help you more, but I prefer not to openly side myself with either party, he says, handing us the key. Well, there's still something you got that I want, Esmond looks up, curious. How about some more of that great tea of yours? Esmond thinks for a second, then reaches behind him. Very well, one bag, he says, reluctantly parting with the tea bag. Okay, leave it to us. Putting the tea bag down her bosom, Kid says to Esmond, You don't have to worry about a thing. I never lie about my promises. Esmond nods, smiling. Let's head out. The frozen flame's bound to be around here somewhere, Kid says, heading to the door in high spirits. Maggle pays his respects, and we are off. We come upon the staircase. Passage also continues on ahead. Proceed up the stairs. We head up the narrow stairwell with Kid leading the way. Faced with a dimly lit corridor, we head down it, quickly masking our steps. Come to a branch. If we turn left, we'll be taken to the atrium. Heading straight will take us to the catacombs. After a bit of walking, we come to an old-looking door with a brass handle. Okay, the goblin's key should open this door, Kid says, putting the key into the lock. With a click, the door unlocks. The door opens with a deep creak. Damp air creeps up from below, peering into the dark, decrepit place. I wonder how I ever got talked into coming to a place like this. We find ourselves in a long hallway, flanked on both sides by rows of countless jail cells. The cold iron bars stretch on in front of us endlessly. 1, 2. Oh, Gorba, Merkid, Zorander, forgive me. A quiet, sobbing voice seems to be coming from the third cell on the right. We peer around the corner into the cell in this dim, damp space. An old man sits in solitude, quietly mumbling to himself. Hey! Excuse me. Hey, mister! Everyone. And it was all because of me. Every last one of the dragoons, Miss Riddell. Even the general. Forgive me, please. Ignoring us, the old man continues to mutter, staring at the floor as he rocks back and forth. Hey, can you hear me? Kid says, shaking the bars a little. He will not hear a thing. He has constructed a wall around himself, Magill says. What do you mean? I ask Magill. A wall used for shielding one's mind from reality. After being exposed to horrific events, tremendous amounts of pain and guilt has this effect on a person. He has made a safe world inside his own mind where he retreats into. From there, he refuses to acknowledge anything he does not want to admit. I notice that talking about this has given Magill a sort of sad, lost look in his face. Noticing my glance, he quickly turns away. Strange. Magill somehow reminded me of Kid just then. When Magill turns back, his usual blank expression has returned. Does this make sense to you, Serge? Yeah, it does. Magill continues looking at Kid and me. We rarely see the walls we're trapped within. However, given time, some can come to understand and possibly even break free of these shortcomings. I wait for Magill to finish, but he doesn't end up saying anything. I'd ask, but oh well. The mind revealing itself to itself. We can't help this old geezer. Let's get back to work, Kid says, already heading for the door. Wait, Kid, Magill calls out. Somehow or another, we may yet find a way into this man's mind. What good'll that do? Didn't you hear what he was talking about? The dragoons, Riddell, General Viper? Oh, he's probably just into old folklore or something, Kid says, returning to the door. I have a feeling his knowledge will prove to be very useful. Certainly he said something of importance concerning our situation, Magill says. Well, I guess we ought to help the old bloke out with his troubles while we're here. What do you say we do, Kid? Kid asks. Somehow we have to put an end to this. Huh? Kid says, looking up. You got a problem with me? No, that's not what I meant. Before I can explain, Kid's fist suddenly flies into my face. Narrowly avoiding the blow, I look up to see Magill starting to speak again. We must find a way to reach beyond his wall. For every locked door there exists a key, so to speak. We will never make any progress with this man until we know what lies in his past. What are you talking about, a key? Kid asks. I do not know either, Magill answers. However, there's at least one person in Viper Manor who does. Riddell! Indeed. Leaving the endless rows of cells behind, we head back to the passageway. Alright. We are going to turn right through the atrium. After heading down the dark, dingy passageway for a while, eventually I start to smell the pungent odor of dead fish. If you know what I mean. We return to the atrium. Ahead of us we see another archway, which will take us back to the upward staircase, and eventually links in Riddell's quarters. Come to a branch. We head down the passageway. We proceed through the dark passageway. Before long, we're greeted with a beautifully ornate set of doors on the right. These are the quarters of Riddell, Lynx's adopted daughter. We enter the room. We come to a comfortably decorated room. We've read this before. Is someone there? I instantly hide behind the door, trying to figure out where that voice came from. It sounded like a girl, but it wasn't Kid. It's Lynx's adopted daughter, Riddell. It has to be her. Odd. I could have sworn I heard someone come in, she says. Apparently she hasn't seen us yet. What will we do? I keep myself hidden behind the door. Suddenly Kid bolts from behind a chair. She silently comes up behind Riddell, putting a knife to her throat. We've come for the frozen flame. Where is it? Kid yells in a low, strict voice. Kid, there's no need to be like that, I say, trying to calm her down. Quiet, Serge! Riddell giggles at the two of us. What's so funny? Kid asks in a tight tone. Oh, come on, you can't be thieves. You're far too noisy. I wouldn't be saying such things if I was you. Well, then go ahead and cut me. At that moment, I picture in my head Riddell collapsing with a blue face smeared in blood. Kid, look at her. She's not gonna hurt us. Damn it. All right. Still, don't think I'm not keeping my eye on you. The feeling is mutual, Riddell says. Don't worry, we're not your enemies. We're not after your power, I say to Riddell, trying to keep cool. We've just come to talk. If there's anything you could tell us about the frozen flame, or perhaps the Acacia Dragoons. Hearing those words, a somber look comes over Riddell's face. After a moment, she begins to speak. The frozen flame was kept in a kingdom to the north for centuries, legend has it. With its subtle, mysterious power, it allegedly could guide people and change history, all while somehow remaining elusive to those who sought it. Or so I've heard. At the time of that kingdom's downfall, it was seized from its resting place, passed from hand to hand. Finally, it came into the possession of my father, General Viper. Lynx approached my father as a friend years ago, blindly trusting him. My father was taken advantage of by Lynx, unable to realize his true intentions. So on that faithful day, struck down by his alleged friend, my father was robbed and left for dead. Averting her eyes, Riddell buries her face in her hands. I didn't know Lynx was behind all of this. At the time he took me into custody, I was just a child. That cursed rock, I didn't know anything about it, and I don't want to! I don't want to have anything to do with it. I want nothing more than to see this all come to an end, she says, with tears in her eyes. I'm taken aback hearing these words. Suddenly Magill comes forward to speak. Do you know of the old man who currently is locked away in the catacombs? That traitor! Because of him, my father, my dear Zorander! Please, miss. Turning her back on us, Riddell pauses. After a moment, she turns around, letting out a deep sigh. Yes, I know the man of whom you speak. He is an Acacia Dragoon, is he not? Magill asked. He was, before he spent countless days and nights locked up in the torture chamber, losing his mind as well as his identity in the process. I remember the day they removed him from that dreadful room, beaten with an inch of his life. The torture chamber you speak of is the room upstairs with the trapped ceiling, correct? Riddell nods silently. Perhaps we may find a clue to his past there, says Magill. I'd hoped it wouldn't come to this. If you must search that room before you have the Einlancer with you before you do. I what? Kid asks. It is a holy white sword created long ago by ancient sages, along with its demonic brother, the Masamune. It was the Acacia Dragoon's most prized weapon. It once glided through the air in Zorander's hand, shimmering like a star. Now, however, the Dragoons are all but extinct, and the sword has been stored somewhere in this manor, though it was some sort of trivial memento. It is much more common than a common sword. It's much more than a common sword. It's not more common than a common sword. Shielded by its magic enchantment, its bearer will be protected against many forms of evil. Thinking of those memories of days long gone, again, Riddell hangs her head in sadness. I wish I could be of help to you. I apologize. Nah, it was plenty, Kid says, heading out of the room. But I wish I was more powerful like you people, Riddell says, biting her lip. Stopping in the doorway, Kid looks over her shoulder. Strength didn't get us here. Power comes from believing in yourself. I see. I wish you luck. She heads out of the room, Kid mutters. Hope it ain't bad luck. From here, the passageway stretches out. Alright, let's go back. Take the stairs up. We've ascended the staircase in front of us. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. We turn right, heading towards the terrace. We go out onto the terrace. Instantly welcomed by the cold nighttime breeze. Talk a little with Kid. She just still wants to just kill Lynx. That's fine, I guess. Passages extend to the left and right. Wherever we turn, darkness awaits. We're going to go to the right. Old dusty door. This is the clock tower storeroom. We open the door. The room is quiet except for the sound of gears. No sign of the hood lamp. We rush over towards the sword. Looking down on it, Magill starts to speak. This may be what we're looking for. By the looks of it, the sword could be the fabled Holy Einlancer, Or perhaps the demonic Masamune. Wow, Maggle, you know a lot about the Masamune. He makes this awkward face. Did you ever know its owner? Yes. Was he your mate? So he was one of the enemies then? No. Well. Hey, Serge, take it. Huh? Come on, you don't expect a fair maiden like me to carry this bulky thing all over the place. Swallow my pride and pick it up. I grit my teeth and remind myself it would get me absolutely nowhere to argue with her. So I go to Kid's side and pick up the sword, just as I was told to. Oof! Jeez, it's heavy. Okay, let's get our asses to that bloody torture chamber. Can almost smell the frozen flame from here. Follow Kid out of the room, dragging the heavy sword. From here, the passageway stretches to the right and left. The right path continues onto the mansion, while heading to the left will take us to the terrace. So, we're going to keep going. See the firm-looking doors. That was the treasure chamber. I'm going to go up the stairs. I nearly slip and fall on one of the damp stairs, bracing myself against the cold walls. I keep climbing. Come to the old, stoic-looking door waiting for us. Silently, we enter. I look up, remembering the deadly ceiling. I'm definitely not going to dispute of overstaying my welcome. Somewhere inside the room, there has to be something that will bring that old man back, but what? Just as I thought, Maggle says dryly, examining the cracks in the floor. Kid and I walk over, kneeling down where he's at. Between the cracks, between the floor stones, there's a thick, smelly, buttery-like substance that's been jammed into it among the stains of blood. Without warning, the door suddenly slams shut. Start it again! Okay, what will we do? Oh, it's coming at us. Let's check out that mode 7. We have to use the sword somehow, Kid yells, her voice almost inaudible thanks to the ceiling's deafening screeching. But how? I thrust the sword into the floor. With as much power as I can muster, I lift the heavy sword and plunge it down in the crack in the center of the floor. A huge jolt runs from the room. Bolts of light scatter in all 4 directions from the sword, running along the floor, then up the walls. Reaching the ceiling, the deadly contraption groans and then comes to a halt. Exhausted and relieved, I collapse to the floor. After a minute, I catch my breath and open my eyes. Strange. When I take a look at the inscription we found earlier, there's a certain stone just beside it that doesn't seem to have any cement around it. We walk over to it, and Kid tugs on it and finds that it's loose. Removing the heavy stone, a dim, glistening light can be seen from far within the hole. Kid reaches in and carefully removes the shimmering object. A beautifully decorated gold ring sits in the palm of her hand. It's adorned with a slender set of leaves like those of a fern, decorated with 5 small rubies around it. The Acasian coat of arms, McGill says. Kid tries the ring on, but strangely enough, it doesn't seem to fit on any of her fingers. The ring must have meant something to the old man. We could use it to break through his walls, couldn't we? I excitedly asked Maggle, already knowing the answer. He nods in silence. Yeah, this has to be it. Abandoning the Einlancer, now proudly standing upright like a beacon of light amidst the dismal room, we hurry out of the torture chamber, hopefully never to return again. With Kid leading the way, we descend the stairs. At the bottom of the staircase, a quite sturdy-looking door stands to the right. The hallway also continues on ahead. Ahead to the terrace. Proceed on towards the terrace. Oh. Another battle. Starts quickly. Spooky, scary skeletons. It's a skeleton! Woo! Ram it! The hollow clatter, the skeleton comes toppling to the ground, ribs fly everywhere. Think you've had enough, Kid shouts, looking over the crumpled heap of bones. Comes together. What do I do? Catch it. I nimbly catch the skull in my hand, throw it back. I kneel down to the ground and raise the skull high above my head, then with all my weight I hurl it down to the ground with blinding speed. As soon as I do this, the remains of the skeleton crumble lifelessly to the ground. Kid runs up to the pile, scattering bones everywhere. Relieved, I crawl back a ways, staring at the shattered skull before me. Now you've had enough, Kid says. I think I'm starting to get a hang of this whole fighting thing. I'm barely hurt at all. Terrace comes into view. We proceed onward. We take the stairs. Go through the archway on the left. The atrium. We go through the room. And we head towards the catacombs. No matter how many times I return here, I don't think I'll ever get any more used to this place. But we continue. We return to the old man. Maggle walks up to the cell and grasps the iron bars. He positions his feet and starts to pull away at the bars with an incredible intensity. After a moment, the bars start to bend like taffy. Maggle enters first through the newly created opening. Kid follows, kneeling down before the mumbling old man. Putting her hands on the old man's shoulders, Kid tries to look into his eyes, but he continues to stare at the floor. Frustrated, she starts to shout at him, shaking him vigorously. "Come on, old fella, get up!" The old man's head shakes back and forth like a rag doll, but his eyes remain averted. I come between Kid and the old man. Kid looks at me with straightforward eyes. "Don't get in the way, Serge." "Kid, look at him," I say. Being agitated is the last thing he needs right now. Humph! After I'm done with him, this old geezer's gonna be brimming with old stories. This Kid shifts her weight onto the other knee. Suddenly, the Acacian ring falls out of her pocket. It falls down to the ground, bouncing once, twice, 3 times, and comes to a stop right before the old man's eyes. Trying to get Kid to calm down, I signal for her to look over to the man, who's now smiling faintly. "The ring," he says, in a voice so quiet it's barely audible. However, his eyes quickly return to their murky state. "Oh, finally, my allies, you have returned. Because of me, the frozen flame was seized, and I have desecrated the name of the Acacia Dragoons. I am the only one left. But you have returned. Ah, Merkid, Zorander, now that we are once again reunited, let us all head back to Stake Lake." "Geez, listen, mister. A frozen flame. Where is it? Any small hint will help. Come on." "Frozen flame?" the old man asks. A warm smile streaks across his face. "Ah, my dear Miss Riddell, I have not seen you in quite some time. Surely you have not forgotten the secret entranceway." Yeah, you think you could tell me about that again, Gramps?" Kid asks, trying to sound as ladylike as possible. "In the ballroom, 3rd candlestick on the left." Kid hugs the old man, ecstatic, and so he resumes his mumbling in that distant, shuddering voice. "Please forgive me for your father. I beg you, Riddell. The Dragoons..." "It's time for you to bust out of here, old man," Kid says, pointing to the bent iron bars. However, he once again refuses to look up. "Come on, we've done all we can do here. He's got to walk through these bars himself." "Thanks, old-timer." Heading away from the catacombs, we eventually come to the split, blah blah blah. Yeah. Pungent odors of dead fish. We return to the atrium. We are going to continue through that room. We're gonna take the stairs. Dark corridor, out to the terrace, on ahead. We go to the ballroom. A beautifully decorated set of double doors. Countless number of candles spectacularly illuminate the huge room. An old-fashioned grandfather clock stands on the right, ticking away with a morbid stillness. Step into the center of the hall, looking upwards. The oil canvas is shimmering in the low light. Okay, third one on the left, Kid says quietly. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. As Kid slowly pushes against the candlestick, it starts to move slowly. Ooh, what's going on? I stammer, trying to brace myself. This entire room is slowly sinking into the ground, Magill says. The ballroom is sinking? All of it? Suddenly the room starts to fall much faster. Chills run down my spine as I look around, seeing the paintings smacking against the walls and the candles dropping to the floor. As I start to get used to the sinking sensation, my heart fills with a violent mixture of anxiety, expectation, and hope. What awaits us at the bottom? The frozen flame? Could it really be down here? Is this our adventure's end? What if we actually take it into our hands? Kid, Magill, I wonder what they're feeling right now. As the room continues to sink underground like an elevator to hell, I start to hear Kid speak in a soft, meek voice. Sometimes I do struggle to win, even when I know I've already lost. Just like that lady said. Why do I do that? Looking over at her, I realize this isn't the Kid I usually see. There, a faint, shy smile can be seen across her face. Suddenly, I feel something so powerful go through me. It feels like a wave of fire surging through my heart. Don't worry, we can't lose, there's no doubt. Whatever, Kid says beneath her breath, smiling faintly. Sayings like those never made much sense to me. There's never a case where there ain't a doubt, not a single one. But, thanks, mate. She looks towards me with a meek smile. Looking at her, I realize there could never be another girl like her in the entire world. Ever. The shy laugh she sported a moment ago has reverted into a sort of mysterious gaze. As I stare at her, she asks me, "Hey, what's up with you all of a sudden?" Nothing. You just looked like a different person there for a second. Really? She says in astonishment, tilting her head. It's probably because of the frozen flame. We're getting close, Magill says. His low, rumbling voice causes the shadows of the room to tremble. What do you mean? Kid asks with a wrinkled brow. Look inside of yourself and you will find the answer, Kid. The struggle for your catharsis is upon you. What in the world are you talking about? Suddenly, a metallic grinding sound can be heard from all around us. The room comes to a stop, swaying a bit. Yes, this is our stop, Kid says with a hollow laugh. I stand motionless, staring at Kid and Magill in the dim, flickering luminescence. Suddenly, the organ comes to life. Looking back towards the monstrous thing, no one is even near it. Nevertheless, it continues to play its strange, twisted tune, the keys and pedals moving wildly on their own. Sounds like a funeral march. Just kidding. Bad joke, Kid. Alright, let's do this, Kid says, taking a deep breath as she heads for the door. I glance at Magill, nodding my head as we follow her out. It's a funeral march, alright? Lynx's, that is! We start down the long, dark path in front of us. The air down here carries the thick stench of death. Somewhere further down this passageway, Link's subterranean hideout awaits. Kid's got a strange look on her face. I can't imagine what must be going through her head right now. Magill, on the other hand, I can never read him. But still, we usually talk a little, lightening things up. But right now, nobody's making a sound. I try to offer some conversation, hoping to avoid the increasing tension. Why are we after the frozen flame? My question is met with nothing but a cold gaze from Kid. There's no response from her. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't heard Kid talk much about anything in her past, ever. But then, just as I think I'm not going to be answered, she starts to speak. I made a promise with my big sis to get the frozen flame and bury it for her. Bury it for her? Where? At her old friend's grave. Kid looks down at her feet, continuing. I was still little at the time, so I can't remember much of it, but there was this friend of hers who she'd grown up with, who died a while back. She said she wanted him to be able to rest with the frozen flame. I don't know what she meant by that, but after what happened at the temple, I vowed to get my revenge and honor what she wanted. I stay silent, not knowing what kind of reply to offer. I should have talked more about it before, but I got you involved in everything, I guess, she says after a while. It's bad, Serge. Nothing but the sound of our footsteps echoing around us, we continue on, deeper and deeper into the passageway. Suddenly, Magill comes to a stop. Do not move. Huh? Alright, Cat, you're gonna have to move. I know I just told you not to, but... Kid and I look around suspiciously. Around us, bones are scattered in all directions. Many of them have been cut cleanly in half. Looking around more amidst the dim light, I start to see that the walls have been splattered with blood. Then, suddenly, a trace of light catches my eye from behind. Go, Cat. You are making this uncomfortable. Thank you. There's a bolt of electricity approaching us, sparking like a lit fuse on the ground. Coming within a few feet of us, the spark splits off into two, forming a circle around us. Once the circle is complete, an odd glow starts to shine at our feet. Then, from where the sparks had traced, light shoots upwards, forming a wall of light all around us. It's a devil circle! We try to move, but we find ourselves caught within the rays of light. So the blue one is me, is Serge, and there's Kid in the green skirt, and then Magill. The scalding, noisy winds whirling all around us. All I see are rays of shimmering light in every direction I look. So what do? I can't see anything in this light. Magill grabs me by the shoulder and returns me to the center of the circle. Thankfully, he seems to be able to see just fine. His mask is probably shielding his eyes from the radiance. There's always a way out of a devil circle. We must find the gaps to walk through. If you say so. Suddenly, Kid's elbows grazes one of the walls. Sparks scatter in all directions. She instantly snaps her arm back, wincing in pain. Unable to see any gaps whatsoever, I hesitantly start to make my way towards the blinding wall of light. Take 3 steps to the right. So, we now know. So we take 3 steps to the right. Come on, to the right a little. There, come on, now. From where we stand, a small gap in the wall can be seen. All of a sudden, holding my breath, I leap into it with my arms shielding my face. Alright, we made it through. However, I open my eyes only to see even more of these glimmering walls swirling before us. Unable to see any gaps whatsoever, I hesitantly start to make my way towards the blinding wall of light. Take 2 steps to the left. We've got to go to the left a little. There. Come on, now. From where we stand, a small gap in the wall can be seen. All of a sudden, holding my breath, I leap into it, with my arms shielding my face. And this cat, being a shoulder cat. Alright, we made it through. However, I open my eyes only to see more walls. Unable to see any gaps whatsoever, really. I hesitantly... 2 steps to the right. To the right, slowly. There. Come on, now. From where we stand, a small gap in the wall can be seen. Jump through. Do you have to be so adorable, cat? I scurry away from the blood-curdling thing as fast as I can. Looking back, I see it vanish in a puff of smoke just as quickly as it arrived. The wind instantly dies down as well, and all of the dust and grime that was blowing around falls back to the floor in a flash. Everything is returned to a quiet stillness. Too quiet. And so, heading down the hallway further and further, eventually... At last, Kid steps towards the mighty set of doors, letting out a sigh of relief. Beyond this door, the frozen flame. From behind his mask, Magel's eyes let loose a cool radiance. Okay, let's go, Kid says eagerly, grasping the handle. Whoa. The cavern sprawls to great lengths before our eyes, a forgotten world hidden deep below ground. And with a scarlet radiance, a single small gem shimmers in the darkness. The frozen flame. Finally, we're here! The jewel shimmers warmly, almost as if it's responding to Kid's voice. Taking a few steps into the moist cavern, Magil whispers, "Remarkable, intact ruins of the lost magical kingdom." Just as I start to ask Magil what he means, a taunting laugh can be heard from high above us. Lynx! Kid immediately pulls out her knife and hurls it through the air with all her might. But as it approaches Lynx, he easily swats it out of the way, almost too quickly for me to see, or for us to animate. Always the same, such a savage little girl. Can't you give a gentleman an honest greeting? You bastard! Kid interrupts. And what have we here? The notorious Shadow Walker. I wouldn't be trying anything like last time if I were you. Beside me, I see a girl come to a stop. Alright, cat, I'm trying to be dramatic, and you're ruining it. I see Magil come to a stop. Lord Lynx, Viper Manor's deadly owner. The very same man who murdered Kid's sister, deceived Riddell's father, and eradicated the Acacia Dragoons. Welcome back, Kid. I see you have successfully taken the bait, gluttonous as ever. What? Kid says hesitantly, taking a step back. Lynx stares down at her with those frighteningly piercing eyes of his. You see, Kid, I brought you here because of the rock you carry. Which rock? Surely you remember the one you received from your sister all those years ago. The priceless keepsake you carry with you dearly, even now. Cat, you are making this really hard. You're making this... Oh no, Lord Lynx is getting me. He's getting me. Nom, 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 nom. Alright. I'm serious now. The Chrono Trigger! Although the Chrono Trigger... How'd you know about that? Kid's gaze returns to a scowl. Oh, I got you. I got you. No matter. We're here for the frozen flame. You finished, you bastard! Ah, yes, toss your little threats around. But remember, no matter how many times you think you have won, I have generously demonstrated how gravely you are mistaken. And with that, Lynx unsheaths a beautiful golden saber. Previously, I've overlooked doing away with you, letting you scurry on with your pathetic little life. However, this time, I may not be so generous. Kid takes another step back, glaring at Lynx as he approaches. Lynx, you murderer! I'll never forgive you for Luca! This ends here and now! And so, Kid leaps into the air in a fit of rage, aiming a kick between Lynx's eyes. However, just as she reaches him, he swiftly dodges. Kid stands there, wondering how she could have missed. Beside her, Lynx laughs, taunting her. Jumping up once again, Kid lets loose a fierce kick, skimming the top of his nose. Her kick cuts through nothing but air. In a parry attack, Lynx sends his razor-sharp golden saber through the air. Kid's already leapt back. The two face each other, only a few feet apart. If only you'd been a bit faster, Kid, Lynx says, smiling. All of a sudden, a line of red streaks across Kid's face. Kid! Wiping off the blood, Kid angrily rushes Lynx in a flash through the air. Effortlessly dodging, Lynx drives the sword into her back as she lands. Kid bends back in alarming pain. Somehow staying on her feet, she stumbles back and readies herself to charge again. Stupid little brat. Lynx lands an elbow onto Kid's shoulder, knocking her clear down to the ground. I feel her pain from the pit of my stomach as I start to see blood trickling from her lips. What's wrong, little girl? Once again, Kid tries to lash out at Lynx, but he easily kicks her, sending her back into a pile of rubble. Lynx then looks upward, focusing his concentration on the ceiling. As I look up, I see a number of rocks have come dislodged from the cavern, tumbling down onto her. Kid! I call out as I start to rush over to her. However, just as soon as I start to, I see Maggle's already there. He streaked across the shadows, putting himself between Lynx and Kid. Saying nothing, Lynx shoots a thread of white light out of his fingertips. The thread-like substance entangles Maggill, binding his feet together. He hits the ground with a thud. In a dazzling radiance, a countless number of threads fly from Lynx's fingertips. They immobilize Maggill, completely leaving out only his head visible. How does that feel, Shadow Walker? Have you felt my web start to drain you of your life energy yet? Lynx says, smiling ominously. Ugh. Kid, Maggill, what am I gonna do? Kid! She looks over towards me. With blood trickling from her mouth, she only moves a little. Kid, are you alright? She lies there motionless, wincing painfully. Surge! It's okay, Kid, I'm here for you. How kind. However, I think you should be more concerned with your own well-being, young man. An icy chill runs down my spine as I hear the evil voice behind me. I stand up and turn around. So you, whoever you are, opposing me is quite useless, as you have obviously seen. And in a flash, Lynx grabs me by the neck. He strangles me with his long, disgusting fingers. Ugh! Then he starts to lift me up by my neck. Struggling for air, I painfully hang there, unable to tear myself free of his powerful grip. Look, Kid. Look at your pathetic little companion suffering. You can make this all stop if you want. With blood dripping from her lips, Kid opens one of her eyes. Painfully gasping and coughing, she lifts her head up to us. She still wants to get up, but she's hurt far too badly. Surge! Hand over the Chrono trigger, Kid. Little do you know, but that rock is actually a tiny condensed universe. When combined with the frozen flame, it gains the power to bend space-time, allowing its owner to reshape history. This all could have never happened if you merely wish it. Saying this, Lynx looks towards me, expressionless. And what about you, young man? Perhaps you know where the Chrono Trigger is, he asks, tightening his grip. Surge! What are you going to do, Kid? Can you afford to let this little boy die without helping? How will it feel to have his blood on your hands? Excuse me. As Lynx grasps tighter and tighter, I find myself starting to lose it. Lynx's face becomes a blur. Suddenly, Kid's voice snaps me back to attention. I'm sorry, Serge. What should I do? Don't do it! My consciousness fading. Stop the stone! Here! Lynx looks over to Kid. His eyes light up as his hands loosen around my neck. Abandoning me, Lynx rushes over to her side. Here it is, Lynx! Kid reaches into her pocket. Lynx draws closer. Despite being drained of nearly all strength, Kid manages to whip her knife out, fiercely slashing at Lynx. Screaming viciously, Lynx falls back, cradling his mangled face. Blood starts to trickle down from between his fingers. You! Lynx staggers to his feet, keeping his right hand on the wound. I will have such fun killing you all! With as much power as she can muster, Kid kicks at Lynx, sweeping him off his feet. Ha! Spitting blood, Kid coughs a little, but still a smile manages to come through her agony. Kid... I run over towards her, still feeling the burning grip on my neck. Lynx turns to Kid, staring at her with his cold, evil gaze. Child, you shall beg for death soon enough. Every flavor of pain shall be yours. Prepare to join Luca. Hearing this, Kid's eyes slowly open and catch sight of Lynx. A red-hot gaze burns in her eyes. Slowly, she rises to her feet. A shimmering light suddenly spurts out of the frozen flame. At the same time, a golden light bursts out of Kid's chest. Swirling around her, the light rises up, spreading outward in a glistening spiral. Ooh, what's this? Lynx says. Kid's voice calls out from deep within the shower of light. You will not win, Lynx! She trembles, her eyes flowing with red tears. And then a single voice can be heard. It's a deep, profound voice. The voice of undeniable honesty and truth. Long ago, in a far-off kingdom, lived a girl. Because of her power, the kingdom had come to an end, crumbling under its own weight. Many became engulfed in the temporal vortex that was created, never to be heard from again. But not the girl. She lived on, enduring a much sadder fate. Running from her past and fearing her future, she wanted nothing more than to be swallowed up in the surging waves of the vortex of time. Hating what she'd done, refusing what she'd said or heard, to simply continue living was her curse. But the stone, it had other plans for her. Turning back the hands of her clock, scattering her memories, she was granted another chance. Since the precious stone was in her possession, she carried with her all its will and power. And so she was born into this era, returning to reality as a mere infant. And with that, the fragments of the shattered chrono trigger fell to the ground softly. The cavern before us slowly starts to come apart, bending inward and outwards like a tear in reality until we are completely removed from its existence. A single girl's voice resounds in the darkness. Please, this dark energy, make it stop. Losing all sense of reality and presence, I become engulfed in this realm, drifting aimlessly through the ages. The world flows, time dissolves, and people live and die. I can see it all within this mysterious ocean. The origin of time, every one of life's tranquilities, is here. I can see myself as a baby, crying at my mother's side, where she gives a warm, proud grin. I can see myself as an old man softly smiling, knowing that death will come soon. Infinite versions of myself extend like ghosts throughout the endless corridors of time. Everywhere I look, I see another life, another era. In this unfolded existence, I see countless lives and countless dreams. Resting in eternity, a kind voice calls out to me. A single song. Kid! Kid! Can you hear my voice? Kid? Answer me, kid. Please. Who's calling my name? Surge? Where is this? Kid, you're here. That song. That beautiful song. It was Luca's favorite. Kid softly smiles, closing her eyes. I can see she can't help but shed a few tears for this long-lost reminiscence. The song is actually something I composed in my earlier years, back when I was a musician. Kid seems to be very fond of it. You called out to me, Surge. You called my name. Thank you. You won't leave me, will you? I'm here for you, kid. It all makes so much sense now. I know who I am, Surge. I know what I'm here for. Let's go back now, okay? I'm ready. Ugh! Lynx has pinned Kid to the ground. And now you see your death! What do I do? Lynx will have to get through me if he wants to get to Kid. Oh, will I get to put you both out of your misery at once? Lynx raises his saber overhead, ready to plunge it into us. I wouldn't do that if I was you. Quickly turning my head, I look in the direction of the voice. You! There, under a large hood, stands the old woman from before. So, Vera, looks like poor couldn't keep their hands out of this after all, says Lynx flatly. Good to see you again, Master Lynx. Seems you've seen better days. The old lady, she's from Poor? The frozen flame? We will take custody of it now. It seems none of you can decide on who the rightful owner should be. The old lady gives a small signal, and dozens of armed troops rush out from behind her, securing the cavern. I will not forget this, Vera! Lynx shouts, floating up into the air. Brimming with hatred, Lynx's glance turns to us. And you! You will see death by my hand! Saying this, Lynx vanishes into thin air. The soldiers untie McGill and start heading towards us. The old woman gazes down on us from under her hood. I believe you all ought to come with us. Looking up, I notice the armed soldiers have swarmed around us with their weapons ready. Saying this, Magil instantly waves his hands in the air, calling out some sort of incantation. Darkness, envelop under my command! Suddenly all light in the cavern is put out. It's now or never. Quickly, Surge! I grab onto Magil, who's holding Kid. Together we flee the cavern, vanishing into darkness. Led by McGill, we make our way out of the mansion. Back in the forest, we see the search party's torches here and there, hunting for us. Their militant barking can be heard as they continue to get closer and closer to us. We stop behind a tree for a moment or two, catching our breath. I look down to Kid, who's taken quite a beating. Are you okay? Yeah, mate, fine. We're completely surrounded, says McGill. We must be on our way. Looking around, I suddenly see torches all around us starting to close in. Kid suddenly lifts her head up. Go, Surge. Save yourself. The troopers only after McGill and me. If they find you alone, they'll let you go. What are you talking about? I can't leave you now. Not like this. I told you I'll be fine, mate. But... Don't worry. I remember now, Surge. Who I used to be. Long ago, she says, staring into the night sky. Seeing the reflection of 100,000 stars in her eyes, I can't help but be taken in by that lonely, one-in-a-million expression of hers. Kid, don't worry, I'm okay. I'll see you again, she says with a smile. Someday, I know I'll see you again. Without a doubt. She softly closes her eyes. Lucas' chrono trigger was lost. We couldn't even get our hand on the frozen flame. But it's okay. It's all okay, because tonight, in my heart, a shiny new treasure was born, Surge. The single, most valuable, unstealable treasure in the entire world. Saying this, Kid stares at me firmly with those eyes of hers. Those bold, straight, honest eyes. Knowing who I am, it's bigger than all this. Bigger than Lynx, bigger than the frozen flame, and nothing can take that away, not as long as I'm alive. At this moment, listening to her under the starry night sky, I find myself wanting nothing more than to be here with her right now, staring into her eyes. I only wish time could stop right at this instant. Goodbye, Surge, and thank you. And with that, Kid turns her back to me and disappears into the darkness. Kid! Don't follow me, please. Don't follow me. Unable to control my feelings, I start to rush after her. However, a shadow abruptly blocks my path. It's Magil. He slowly shakes his head, a sorrowful look in his eyes. With that, his shadowy figure draws back, dissolving into darkness. Magil? Kid? Kid! Kid. And so, the curtain closes on another tale. However, another time, after the spotlight had faded from Kid, Magil, and Riddell, in another place and another time, a similar band of adventurers had come forth, equally unsuspecting of their other selves, and life went on as they strode out into the great unknown. But that's a story for another day. For now, I shall put down my pen. As I softly close my grandfather's diary, I hear my mother's voice call to me from downstairs. Didn't you hear me? Your friend is here. Ow! Jesus, cat, stop that. Either climb up or don't. I turn around, already knowing who it is. My door opens quite energetically, where I see her. Surge, we found some ruins of an old mansion up in northern Kitsune Forest today. Come on, let's go exploring. Thank you, Cat, for knocking things over. Alright. I got you now. You're part of the stream, whether you like it or not. Alright, we have completed Radical Dreamers start to finish. That actually only took me like 3 hours. I don't know, thanks to Pablo for showing up for a little bit. This video, of course, will be available for watch, so please, if you're watching this after the fact, like or subscribe, write comments. Obviously, I'm not the world's greatest voice actor, but I tried my best. What else? You know, sound done by Yasunori Mitsuda. We're gonna let this play for a little bit, I guess. Just enjoy the music. So a lot of the songs in this did become, you know, were prototypes for eventually what made it into Chrono Cross. If the HDMI port worked on my goddamn PS3, then, you know, I would stream myself playing Chrono Cross, but I don't think I'm gonna bother with that. What else? What else? What else? There's a cat behind me. He is 1-1. He is the friendliest cat. Yeah, that's it for the night. Thank you to those who watched, even if it was only for a little bit. Thank you to those who watch in the future.